Bad news for 2311 Racing and Front Row with their lawsuit against NASCAR. And let's be honest, Chase Elliott is not helping NASCAR. Yo, what's up everyone? My name is Jed. Welcome back to an episode of Inside Alliance on the first episode in the month of November. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Let's first start off with Chase Elliott, NASCAR's most popular driver. I say that in quotation marks is because the fact that he's the most popular driver is an embarrassment to the sport. Now, yesterday, Chase Elliott had a conversation, an interview with journalist Matt Weaver. Matt Weaver discussed NASCAR's Netflix Docuseries Full Speed that's set to premiere during the offseason this year for season 2. And he asked him if he was going to be a part of that new season, and Chase Elliott simply said no. In a very deadpan, straightforward way, Chase Elliott won't be a part of season 2 of NASCAR's Full Speed on Netflix. Now, last year it made sense since he didn't make the playoffs, but for this year, not only did he make the playoffs, but he was one of the biggest names because of his consistency, was always up front, was within the top 3 or 4 drivers the entire regular season. But it's this. I'm not surprised by it. Chase Elliott is a very introverted guy. I mean, I just get that vibe from him, and that is perfectly fine. If Chase Elliott does not want to open up, because let's be honest, if you're going to be on Full Speed, you kind of have to show a little bit of your private life. If he doesn't want to do that, that's perfectly understandable. He should not feel obligated or feel forced to have to open about his life. But I gotta say, he is the most boring, most popular driver, or the most boring big name driver I've ever had to witness. I genuinely have a question for the people that are Chase Elliott fans. If he wasn't Chase Elliott, would you still vote him for most popular driver? Because I'm sorry, the man has not given me anything to show as to why he is the most popular driver outside of the fact that his last name is Elliott. If his last name was Chase Jones or whatever the hell, would he be the most popular driver? Absolutely not, because the man is about as boring as watching beige paint dry. Beige, which is the most boring type of color. I have it, all right? That tells you something. I mean, look at this. This is boring, but still more fun than Chase Elliott's personality. I mean, just a little sidebar. I was having a conversation with someone that works in NASCAR social media when I visited Charlotte last month. And this person told me straight up, I'm not going to say this person's name, but this person told me straight up that, yeah, Chase Elliott's very boring. And that they try to do stuff with him on their NASCAR socials, and he doesn't want to do it, which, again, I get it. On one side, he doesn't have to do it. He just wants to show up and race. I get that. But I do feel like, though, if you're going to be a professional athlete, you do have an obligation to, at the very least, to do stuff to help NASCAR grow. I honestly don't believe Chase Elliott cares about helping grow NASCAR, because at least in my eyes, he has not shown anything to try and help the sport grow. I look at other drivers, Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Bubba Wallace, Ryan Blaney, just to name a few. Hell, even Christopher Bell is opening up his shell, showing personality, doing things to help grow the sport. Chase Elliott is supposedly the most popular driver in our sport, yet he doesn't do a damn thing to help promote the sport. Even Dale Jr. during his meteoric rise in the early to mid 2000s, he wasn't introverted. I mean, he has outright said that he was introverted, but still did cool things to help bring NASCAR to new eyes. MTV Cribs, Rolling Stone was on, I think, the MTV Music Awards, I think back in 2001. Celebrity All-Star Game. Yes, he was an introvert, but he still did stuff like that because in part he is the most popular driver, and one of the most popular drivers doing stuff that help get NASCAR out there to new eyes, help broaden their audience. It helps everyone. When the most popular driver in our sport at the moment doesn't care and just wants to show up, race, and go home, yes, that is 100% his right to do that. That doesn't help the sport at all. I honestly hope that someone else wins most popular driver, like Kyle Larson. That's another driver I forgot to name in that whole batch of drivers. Has a great personality, not only on it, but also off the racetrack. But I feel like there are so many other drivers that at the very least gives you a feeling, gives you an emotion, whether good or bad. Hell, Joey Logano, in my eyes, does more good for NASCAR than Chase Elliott. Because at the very least, Logano makes you feel something. When Joey Logano wins, people are going to love him or hate him. We need more of that. I'm sorry, but I feel like if Chase Elliott wins, if you're not a Chase Elliott fan, no one cares. It's kind of like, oh, he won? Okay, cool. I know I felt that way. Even though Chase Elliott won at Texas, I was like, oh, cool. Didn't really care. Mainly because I don't get any feeling from him. And I think I speak for a lot of people that are not Chase Elliott fans. I speak for a lot of people that nobody cares about Chase Elliott, mainly because of the fact that Chase Elliott doesn't do anything for us to care. It's a double-edged sword. Yes, again, I say this many times. It's his right to not have to open his life to us. That's completely 100% his right. At the same time, though, NASCAR is in desperate need to try and bring their popularity back up. And in part, one of the things that made them so big in the 90s or 2000s was driver personalities. And when your most popular driver is doing anything but that, doing anything. I mean, Earnhardt was a master at marketing to help grow the sport, to help grow his brand. Okay. Yeah, Bill Elliott may have been the most popular driver, but we all know it truly was Dale Earnhardt. But I'm getting off track here. The fact of the matter is, what I'm trying to say is that Chase has to do something. I'm sorry. Like, if you are going to be in the spotlight, you got to do something. I don't know how NASCAR can do this, but if I'm NASCAR, I'm putting all my eggs in anything but Chase Elliott. He doesn't want to do stuff. Okay, fine. But don't have it in marketing. Don't have him in posters. Just focus on drivers that actually want to do stuff. Focus on guys like Hamlin, like Larson, like Bell, like Blaney. Focus on drivers like that are actually willing to do stuff. Bowman, also another driver that's willing to do stuff. Focus on drivers like that and not on Chase, because clearly he doesn't want to do anything. And I'm so sick and tired just every single time where something cool happens with NASCAR that, oh, this is a great opportunity to help grow the sport. And other drivers understand that and are willing to do that. Ross Chastain is another driver. Daniel Suarez, they're both drivers with great personalities that are willing to help grow the sport. When I see other drivers that jump on this opportunity, and then I see the most popular driver constantly, time after time again, just doesn't want to do anything, just to, at the very least, to help grow the sport, it is frustrating, because if Chase Elliott can be a massive plus if he can just do a little bit. Again, he doesn't have to go all in. I get that. He's a private guy. I understand that. But to not want to do anything with the sport is frustrating as hell. I have a feeling because I'm calling out Chase Elliott, it's not going to go over with some fans, but you know what? I do not care. And finally, we're talking about an update on our NASCAR lawsuit story. Now, we did a video yesterday talking about some of the updates that the team of 2311 in Front Row asked the judge in order to grant them access to NASCAR's 8-year financial records through their acquisition of ISC and ARCA, to the sanctioning racetrack agreements, to the 2016 and 2025 charter agreements. That's what they wanted to see, an expedited discovery of NASCAR's financial through that 8-year run, with 6 key NASCAR members like Lisa France Kennedy, Scott Prime, Steve O'Donnell, Steve Phelps, Jim France, and Ben Kennedy that they wanted to take a look at. However, an update from the judge stated that no, they're not going to get that. They're not going to get those documents ahead of their preliminary injunction hearing next Monday. The main reason, because the judge states that they don't really need it. It's like if you're preparing for a test on Monday, and in order to prepare for that test, you want to look at the smartest kid's study guide in order to help you prepare. Well, the teacher's saying you don't really need to look at that study guide. You can do it yourself, or what you have is enough. You don't need to look at that study guide to help you prepare for Monday's test. What you got is perfectly fine. In the filing, it says, quote, while the proposed discovery request may help plaintiffs show a likelihood of success on the merits, they are not sufficiently narrowly tailored, and plaintiffs argue the record is sufficient to support their motion for preliminary injunction as it stands. Now, another reason in part why it got denied was because of that irreparable harm, which stated that the team stated that they need to see these documents in order to help prepare for the preliminary injunction as much as possible, because if it's not granted, if they're not able to become chartered teams while this lawsuit unfolds, then they will be forced to operate under open teams, which, according to them, they won't be able to survive for a long period of time and may be forced to shut down not too long after permanently. However, according to the judge, it was not adequately demonstrated properly. Quote, plaintiffs seemingly misinterpret this factor. As to this factor, plaintiffs argue that they can show a likelihood of irreparable harm, presumably in support of their motion for a preliminary injunction, without access to expedited discovery, but seek expedited discovery to create a more fulsome record. In doing so, plaintiffs concede that they do not actually require expedited discovery, at least for the purposes of their motion for a preliminary injunction. Basically, that whole section means that, according to the judge, states that, hey, 2011 front row, you said that, yeah, you can show irreparable harm without these documents. You've stated this in your filing in the previous submissions to the court, that you stated that, hey, yeah, we can show irreparable harm without these documents. It's just that the documents will help us. We don't need it, but it would help us. So we would like for you to grant that. The judge saying that, okay, well, since you just told me that you don't need it, you don't need it. Simple as that. What I view this more as in simple terms is 2011 and front row trying to overdo as much as possible to see how much they can get, how much information, how much homework they can get to help prepare for their injunction hearing on Monday. I'm not surprised in a case like this, you're going to want to, in a sense, maybe over prepare as much as you possibly can, because in a case like this, you can never have too much information. When you go up against a juggernaut like NASCAR, you want to come in as prepared as you could possibly can be prepared for. That means getting as much papers, as much documents, doing so much, maybe doing more than what you need to do. As long as it gets you as much information as you possibly can to prepare for the hearing on Monday, you go ahead and do it. So what does this mean for 2011 and front row? Nothing really. It doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't hurt. I mean, it doesn't help them, but it doesn't hurt them. But it will be interesting on Monday, because that is the big question mark on Monday, because Monday is when the judge will determine, Judge Whitney, who is overseeing this case, will determine whether or not to grant 2011 and front row access to become charter teams while this lawsuit continues. If Judge Whitney grants them as charter teams, then we got a case. Then they can compete in 2025 as charter teams while they're still suing NASCAR. However, if Judge Whitney denies them that, then this case is kind of open and shut. The teams will be forced to operate under open teams. At least that's what I'm gathering from this. So really the next update we'll have from this is on Monday. So make sure y'all tune back in here. Stay subscribed, click those notifications on, and comment down below what do you think is going to happen in this lawsuit, and what are your thoughts on Chase Elliott and my remarks about him. Do you agree with it? Yes or no? Again, let me know all your suggestions in the comment section down below. Until next time, my name is Jet from MDK. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.
You can't tell me now about time. Do you know how many lines I done put down, vibes I done sent out? But we ain't here to dig. I'll up the market till they come red carpet the kids. Success still the target. Soon I'll be crossing that bridge, but can't bring everybody with me, family only. I got some people think I owe a favor, barely know me. That's why my focus on the road is all I know. I see them sticking close to play the wall.